Okay, so picture this. It's Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
It has been a long, grinding week. Your phone is sitting there on the coffee table, and it is just absolutely blowing up.
Oh, yeah.
Group chats are pinging, notifications sliding in, and there's this vague buzzing pressure hanging over your head. The pressure to go out.
To be seen.
Yeah.
Be social. The classic Friday night dilemma.
Exactly. And honestly, all your body is screaming for is like, order takeout, put on sweatpants, and watch that same movie you've seen 20 times.
Of course.
But that feeling is usually followed, like, immediately by this massive wave of guilt.
Yeah.
You start thinking, am I being antisocial? Is there, like, something wrong with me? Why am I not out there networking?
It's that fear, isn't it? That by staying in, you're somehow falling behind. That everyone else is out there, living their best life while you're just existing.
Right. But we have a fascinating stack of research and notes to get through today that challenges that guilt head on.
It does.
We're diving into what our sources call the Alpha Code perspective on quietness. And if I'm reading this right, the argument is that the guilt is completely misplaced.
It is. In fact, we look at the source material, that impulse to stay home isn't a glitch in your personality. It's a feature.
The feature.
It's not social failure. It's what the sources call social solitude. A deliberate act of respecting your own space.
Social solitude. I love that phrase. It sounds so much more intentional than just hiding.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to unpack this because the claims here are pretty bold.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about silence as a system recovery for your brain, a launch pad for innovation, and my personal favorite.
Go on.
Why even Batman needs a Batcave.
It's a really fascinating reframe. We often think of the quiet ones as the ones missing out, but the core argument here is that silence is essential maintenance for your human OS.
Okay, let's stop there and unpack that. Human OS sounds like it needs a software update, but seriously, this is the first big takeaway. Reframing solitude as a CPU reset. What are we actually resetting?
Well, think about the world we live in right now. It's the age of AI, social media, constant connectivity. We are in an always-on state.
Always.
You're constantly reacting to input.
It's true. It's not just work emails. It's a text, then a news alert, then a customized ad, then a TikTok. It feels like you're constantly on defense.
Precisely. And every single one of those is a data point your brain has to process.
Right.
The source material argues that your brain, your CPU, needs time without new data to organize thoughts, to manage lingering emotions.
So if you're constantly processing input, you never actually get to the data you already have.
You're just buffering constantly.
That makes so much sense. It's like when your browser has way too many tabs open and the whole computer just slows down.
Spinning wheel of death.
Exactly. So staying home on a Friday isn't just about being lazy. It's about, clearing the cache.
That's the perfect way to put it. And the sources link this directly to mental health. This constant input leads to burnout and that, low-level depression from comparing your life to everyone's highlight reels.
Mm-hmm.
By stepping away, you prevent that crash. The sources actually use a term that I think is going to be the new mantra for a lot of our listeners.
Oh, yeah. JOMO. JOMO. I assume that's the cousin of FOMO.
The joy of missing out.
I like that. It flips the script entirely.
It does.
Instead of fearing you're missing something, you're actually enjoying the fact that you aren't involved.
Exactly. And this isn't just a wellness trend. The text highlights that in the US, and especially from what it calls the Top U alumni perspective.
So high achievers.
Right. High achievers, Ivy League grads, that whole demographic. There's this realization that while everyone else is obsessed with hustle culture, the smartest people know the magic happens during quiet time.
So it's not about being a loner.
No, it's about protecting your energy.
That is a huge distinction. It's not avoiding people because you dislike them. It's protecting your energy because it's a finite resource.
Correct. You only have so much battery life. The source says explicitly, in an AI world, your mind is your greatest asset. So if sitting home alone, eating good food, and watching an old movie recharges your soul, then do it with pride. They call it a high-level human OS move.
A high-level human OS move. I am definitely using that the next time I turn down an invitation. Sorry, I can't make it. I'm executing a high-level human OS maintenance protocol.
It sounds a lot more strategic than I want a nap, doesn't it?
Much better.
But you have to mean it. It's a strategy, not just an excuse.
Okay, but this goes deeper than just napping. There's this concept in the notes about being the CEO of your own heart,
right?
Which, I'll be honest, sounds a little Poetic.
It sounds poetic, but it's actually pretty ruthless.
Ruthless.
In a necessary way. It's about self-governance. I mean, think of yourself as a corporation. If you're the CEO, you have to make the executive decisions about your resources.
And your most valuable resources aren't money.
Exactly. They're your time and your attention. Being the CEO of your own heart means you choose your social circle. You curate it.
Curate. That's the key word there. It implies a selection process. You don't just let anyone walk into your office.
Or your life. And this is where it gets difficult for people who have that, people pleaser instinct. The source material warns against forcing yourself into circles that don't fit just for the sake of networking.
Or looking popular.
Right. And when you stop doing that, you build stable self-worth. Your happiness stops depending on validation from people who, frankly, don't matter to your long-term goals.
It's quality control.
Yeah.
But what's the ROI on that? The return on investment? Because if I'm sitting at home while my competitors are out networking, am I losing ground?
The sources argue the exact opposite. They say you gain time for ultra learning.
Ultra learning. Okay, so this isn't just like casually reading a book.
No, this is deep, aggressive skill acquisition. If you aren't spending 4 hours at a bar shouting over loud music, what could you be doing?
Right.
The text mentions things like learning to command Robin AI or diving deep into the study of carbon credits.
So let's clarify those for a second because they're really specific examples.
Sure.
When the text mentions Robin AI, what are we actually talking about?
It's referring to advanced AI interactions. So, learning how to code or command AI agents to do complex work for you.
Moving from being a user to a master.
Exactly. And that takes focus. You can't learn that in 15-minute bursts between social outings.
Okay, and carbon credits. That sounds like some heavy finance stuff.
It is. It represents complex financial and environmental systems. Understanding the intricacies of premium carbon credits, it's dense, high-value knowledge. It's the kind of thing that makes you an expert in the room.
But you need the quiet time to actually learn it.
You do.
The notes also mention the RSPG. I had to double check this one.
Right, that RSPG. That's about specific genetic conservation projects. Understanding plant ecosystems, biodiversity. It's looking at botany as data.
So whether it's coding, finance, or botany, the point isn't the specific topic.
No.
The point is the depth.
Yeah.
You could be becoming an expert in something valuable instead of just melting time away in useless conversations.
That is the trade-off. Do you want to be the person who went to every party or the person who understands AI architecture? In today's economy, the latter is way more valuable.
This transitions us perfectly into the next big chunk of our sources. We're moving from REST, the Jumbo stuff, to what the Alpha Code calls weaponizing silence.
Weaponizing silence. It sounds intense, doesn't it?
It does, like a martial art. But it's about innovation. The sources bring up this idea that silence is a launch pad, and they compare human intelligence to AI in a really interesting way.
Oh, this was one of the most insightful parts for me.
Yeah.
We hear so much about AI taking over, Rice, but the source makes this critical distinction. AI is amazing at processing data, far better than we are, but what it cannot do is replicate the human ability to connect personal experience, emotion, and imagination.
And the argument is that those connections, that human spark, that only happens during deep silence.
Precisely. It's about the flow state. You know that feeling when you're so engrossed in a task that time just vanishes?
Yep.
You can't get into a flow state when you're constantly interrupted. Real innovation comes from sitting still and thinking until you break through, not from being the loudest person in the brainstorming session.
They actually mention some heavy hitters here to prove the point. Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg.
Yes, and it's referencing the ideas from The Power of Introverts, TED Talk. These are people who used silence to build empires. They didn't do it by being the life of the party.
They did it by thinking deeply about problems other people were just skimming.
Exactly. So if you're that person who prefers to sit back and listen, you're not just shy.
You have a strategic edge.
You absolutely do. And that leads to what the source calls the superpowers of the quiet types. The first one is observation.
I love this because I think quiet people often get written off as disengaged. Like, oh, he's just sitting there, he has nothing to add.
But something else is happening. The reality is they're collecting data. While everyone else is busy broadcasting their own opinions, the quiet person is receiving. They're downloading information.
The text gives a really cool example of field work. Like, imagine you're out in the community, the loud people are chatting, missing the details. What's the quiet observer seeing?
They're noticing the local wisdom. They're seeing the connections. In business, the sources mention spotting hidden assets like drafting GI.
Drafting GI, that's geographical indication, right?
Exactly. Like knowing that sparkling wine from Champagne has higher value, it's recognizing value tied to a specific origin. A loud person walks past a field. A quiet observer notices the unique soil that makes that field a gold mine.
Because they aren't distracted by their own voice.
Precisely. This leads to real and deep data. And in business, if you know something your competitor doesn't because you shut up long enough to notice it, you win.
That is a massive business advantage. And it redefines leadership, too. We have this stereotype of the leader as the loudest person in the room.
The Zen leader pushes right against that.
The Zen leader.
They don't shout, they listen. They decide with mindfulness what the text calls ME, mental and moral.
Mental and moral. So it's a decision-making framework.
It is. Making decisions that are logically sound, mental and ethically grounded. Moral. In a chaotic world, a calm, grounded leader builds trust. And the source calls trust the new gold.
Trust is the new gold. That's a powerful line.
Mm.
In an era of fake news and AI hallucinations, consistency and calm are maybe the most valuable currencies.
It brings us back to my favorite analogy in this whole stack of research.
The Batman comparison.
The Batman comparison.
It's a great metaphor. You can be the Batman who wins by listening, not just by barking orders. But I think more importantly, it talks about the Bat Cave.
Right. Even Batman needs a cave. And think about what he does there. He's not just hiding.
Yeah.
He's repairing his armor. He's checking his diagnostics. He's analyzing the data he gathered on the streets of Gotham.
And that's what your apartment or your room or that quiet corner of the coffee shop that needs to be your Bat Cave.
Yeah, the source quotes this modern American English tip from Silicon Valley. It says, silence is a strategic advantage, not a weakness. It urges you to use that quiet time to program your AI, analyze your data, design the future.
So it's not hiding, it's a launch pad.
Exactly. If you view your solitude as a retreat, it feels like defeat. If you view it as a launch pad, it feels like preparation. It aligns perfectly with Cal Newport's concept of deep work.
So if you master the quiet, you master the world.
That's the synthesis. The world is loud. It's distracted. If you can be the one person who can sit still, focus, and synthesize information, you become invaluable.
It's funny, we started this whole conversation talking about the guilt of staying in on a Friday night to watch a movie.
Right.
And now we're talking about world domination through silence.
Well, that's the power of the Alpha Code perspective. It strips away the social pressure and looks at the mechanics of success. It turns out mental health and high performance aren't enemies.
They're actually the same thing.
Exactly.
So let's wrap this up. The mission of this deep dive was to explore social solitude. And I think the verdict is clear. It's a victory, not a defeat.
It creates a short-term benefit, which is your mental health and peace, that CPU reset, but it also creates a massive long-term benefit. Sharp focus, success, and innovation.
So here's the challenge for you, the listener. Look at your schedule for this week.
Yeah.
Where is your Bat Cave time?
And don't just find the time protected. Be the CEO of your heart and guard that time aggressively. Don't apologize for it.
And here's a final thought to leave you with. Something the sources hinted at that we didn't fully dive into.
Okay.
So you've spent your time in the Batcave, you've used the silence, you've come up with a brilliant idea. Now what? You have to step out of the cave.
Right, the transition.
Exactly. The source material teases this idea of the art of pitching. How do you speak little but hit hard? Once you've generated all that value in silence, how do you get people to buy into it without becoming the loud noise you were trying to avoid?
That is the ultimate skill, moving from the silence of the creator to the impact of the leader.
Something to mull over while you enjoy your JOMO this weekend. Stay zen. Stay sharp.
Stay zen.
Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive. See you next time.